What's up everybody, Alex Comstock here with WhitetailDNA, and on today's video we're going to be bringing you a new 5-week segment series, whatever you want to call it, but for the next 5 weeks, every Tuesday I think I'm going to try and do it, but at least every week, we're going to be bringing a trophy room tour from the whole team. So it's going to be kind of cool, it's going to be a good way to just kind of get to know the team a little bit better, kind of show everyone kind of what the team's harvested while to hunting over the last handful of years, and just kind of go through some stories, and I love telling stories, so I think it's going to be pretty cool. So in the first episode today, we're going to be going down to Nebraska, touring Kaleb Comstock's trophy room down in his house. Hope you enjoy this series of videos. It'll be kind of a cool thing to do here in the off season. So appreciate you watching. If you do me a huge favor, hit that like and subscribe button. And let's jump down to Nebraska and check out Kaleb's trophy room.
What's going on, everyone? Kaleb Comstock here. In today's video, we're going to do a kind of like a whitetail crib tour. So I'm going to be going through some of the bucks that I've killed throughout the years, kind of giving you a little background on it, a little story on what took place. So starting off, actually this is my first bow buck. I shot this deer back in 2015, 35-yard shot, November 6th, something like that. Comes in, just kind of cruising, and I was able to get a heart shot on him, 35-yard shot, and he went a couple hundred yards, and then that was it, and that kind of started my passion for really hunting. I've been hunting before that, but once I kind of got my first good mature whitetail down on the ground, it really sprung into everything. But so this is my first bow buck. We're actually going to go look at my first ever deer, which was actually my one and only rifle buck. So we're going to go look at that one really quick. So if you look up here on this one, this is my first ever buck. It was actually, like I said, it was a rifle deer. Opening morning, I can remember this hunt plain as day. My dad and I were sitting next to this big oak tree, and as light came, we seen this buck up on the side hill cruising does. Dad hit the rattle antlers, and the buck came on a dead sprint and gave me a literally 25-yard broadside shot. I mean, textbook. I shot him when I was 14, 15, right around there. So textbook hunt. I mean, I still remember that hunt plain as day. Just the way he came off that hillside, came up that draw with his ears pinned back looking for a fight. So that's definitely a hunt that kind of kick-started everything before I really got into bow hunting. But I think it's definitely my biggest 8-point, and like I said, my only rifle buck. So now we're going to kind of dive into the river deer. Some of these deer you've already seen, but we're going to give you a little more background on all of the deer we call the river deer. Starting off with the deer that we call the river deer, this is a buck that we call Reason. I shot him in 2019, and the way that Reason got his name was actually the first 2 deer I killed. The landowner met us at the property one morning and just pretty much said that the family didn't want us hunting it anymore, so I went back to the old river farm. The very first I sat at the river farm, this deer stepped out. I wasn't running any cameras down there, and I named him Reason because I figured there was a reason why he stepped out that night. I was not able to get any encounters with him besides that first one in 2018. Flash forward 2019, on November 3rd, he comes out of the cornfield chasing a doe, just steps out, and I go full draw on him. And as he was taking steps to get in my lane, the doe took off running, and he ran back another 10 yards and ended up shooting right underneath of him. And I didn't see him again until December 22nd, which is when I got my second encounter with Reason and was able to put down, I'd say, my first big mature whitetail in Nebraska. He scored in just under 150. I think it was like 149 5/8 or something like that. But this is a deer that I would say really kickstarted everything, because after him it seems like the train just started rolling. And we're gonna jump into my second buck I shot off the river deer, or the river property, which is my biggest buck, the buck we call Double Brow. So this is the buck that we call Double Brow. This is my biggest deer I've ever killed, and as luck would have it, it actually happened on my birthday. Double Brow is a deer that I had 3 years of history with, so when I was hunting Reason, I also knew of Double Brow. And actually the morning I killed Reason, I had Double Brow at like 30 yards. So being able to put everything together, making a game plan. This deer was so hard to hunt because he was pretty much elusive to all the cameras. I maybe had 10 pictures of him when I shot him in 2000. Oh, I messed that up. I shot him in 2019. I actually killed Reason in 2017, or 2018. I killed him in 2018, him in 2019, and he was pretty much a ghost on camera. We had a timely cold front roll through on Halloween, and it's just a tradition for me to always get in the tree stand when I can on my birthday. And as luck would have it, as the last light came, I was putting my camera away and really wasn't thinking much was going to happen. And sure enough, Double Brow stepped out 20 yards, and I shot him a little back, and that kind of put us on a rabbit hole of a blood trail where we actually walked straight past the blood and didn't know what happened, and we had to backtrack, and he only went 70 yards from the tree stand. But definitely my favorite deer I've shot, my biggest, just all around a super cool deer with a lot of great genetics, and yeah, just a stud of a Nebraska deer. Also taken on the river farm. This is the buck that I shot on December 4th, 2020, also at the river farm. This was a weird year. A year where I went in with pretty much nothing on camera until he showed up in early November. Had no previous history of him, no pictures of him, and no encounters of him until literally December 4th. I went in late season, cold front, and I was sitting over a picked cornfield, and he was the first deer to come out at like 4:40. Came out super early, and he's actually completely caught me off guard. I had him at like 30 yards and just never got a shot because I wasn't ready. He went out to about 45. My furthest shot to the day, just completely went in, double lunged him and hit the opposite shoulder. He went about 120 yards down to the timber and piled up. And this was my third buck in a row at the river farmer. So now things are really starting to roll down there. Things are just happening, and so that was 3 mature deer in a row at the river farm. And then in 2021 we gained a new piece of property, and that's where this buck came from. This buck that we called Homie. On this ground we got permission on, we thought it was going to be absolute dynamite. We started running cameras in there in July, and this is honestly one of the first deers that we had come up on camera, and he was on every camera like all year long, which is why we deemed him Homie. This is probably my biggest surprise buck in a sense, because when I shot him, we anticipated him being way larger than what he actually was. He was still a 4.5-year-old, 8 with short brows, just a great management deer, but was not what we were expecting. It was going to be based off our trail camera pictures. But that would happen on November 1st, 2021 on the new property. So that is now 4 deer, 4 years in a row, all mature bucks that I was able to take place. So this is the buck that we call Homie. Holding my hands is actually one of my first match sets I found, definitely my biggest sets. This is a buck that we deemed Showtime. We picked up a new piece of property that we call Plan B. I still hunt it today, but the whole reason for getting that property is because I knew this buck was down there, and as luck would have it, I found the sheds laying side by side. Unfortunately, the neighbor was able to take him last year, and I wasn't, but just super cool sheds. A buck that I would love to have on the wall, but we'll take his sheds as a consolation prize. So this was the buck that we call Showtime. We're gonna flip to the buck that we call Bubbles. What's really cool about Bubbles is I actually shot Bubbles on the same day out of the same tree 2 years apart as I did my buck I shot in 2020. Bubbles is very similar to like that 2020 deer, where he was a surprise buck. Going into the year, I didn't have much on camera. I had a couple that I was hoping for that ended up getting hit on the highway, and then Showtime got shot. But Bubbles showed up on November 1st. He came through the river farm just strolling through in the middle of the night. And then I think I got my second picture of him November 3rd, and he was heading south. So that night I actually went in, I did a hanging hunt, and I rattled Bubbles 15 yards from my tree, straight downwind of me, and after that he was gone. A complete ghost. 0 encounters, 0 pictures of him until November 28th, when he woke up to his cell cam pictures and Bubbles was back on the property. So from pretty much November 8th until when I shot him on December 4th, it was like a cat and mouse game of trying to anticipate where Bubbles was. And I knew that having that cornfield late season was going to be perfect for me. And as luck would have it, at the very last light, deer coming out to my right, and they're looking down to the left of me. So I look out there, and there's Bubbles staying at 25 yards, and just everything's happened so quickly. I got my bow, I got my camera on him, and was able to make a perfect shot. This is my biggest frame deer. He broke off about 3 inches of his G3, but an all-around beautiful Nebraska deer, which just really kept everything rolling here on the river farm. This is a buck that I call half rack. This is not actually a deer that I shot, but it was pretty much my main target going into this 2023 season. Half rack showed up throughout the year, the same year as Bubbles, but half of his rack was gone. From here over was all gone. He broke it off, so I never knew what this side of him looked like. Unfortunately, I found half rack in early October this year, dead due to EHD. Just an absolute giant of a 9-point. And so once I found that, my freaking expectations and hopes were real low, just because I was really hoping to hunt this deer this year, but unfortunately it didn't happen that way due to Mother Nature. But so this is just another cool deer that I found that we call half rack. And then that leads us to present day, which is not done yet obviously, but this is my 2023 buck, the buck that we call Squigs. Like I kind of talked about with half rack, going into the year I didn't have a whole lot after EHD, and Squigs are super inconsistent until November hit, and then he really started picking up his activity. And I was able to shoot Squigs on November 11th, Veterans Day, out of the exact same tree stand I called the double brow stand. So pretty sweet that these two bucks came out of the same tree, and I've also got 2 other bucks that came out of the exact same tree stand. But Squigs was probably my biggest body deer, just an absolute brute, about as perfect as a tall 10 as you can get. And so I'm waiting to get him done at the taxidermist, but I brought his skull cap back. So that is the buck we called Squigs. Hopefully you enjoyed this type of video. Alex and I were kind of thinking of what we could do to just bring more interest in on the off season, and we thought it'd be a really cool idea to kind of go through our trophy rooms and just do a little trophy tour, a little backstory of each deer that we have on our walls, and just show off the taxidermy work that we've gotten over the years. As we move forward, stay tuned to more videos that's going to come. In Nebraska here, I'm going to be rolling into turkey season here in just a little over a month, and I know Alex also has other videos planned. So thanks again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and follow us for more.